Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing Vengeance on Varos with the 6th Doctor. It was interesting because I've had a lot of trouble trying to get this review sorted in my head because Vengeance was always my favorite Colin Baker story from the ones I'd seen. It always had a high memory in my head, and this watch through of it has been disappointing. I liked it. It is a good story. But for some reason, I didn't engage with it like I have a lot of other Doctor Who stories I've watched recently. The things I like about Vengeance are more aspects of it, or things it does, instead of the actual story. Like, for instance, I love its prediction of reality TV, and its prediction of basically people becoming obsessed with social media, which is even more widespread and prevalent in 2022, with people being obsessed with Facebook and YouTube. The irony of that does not escape me. TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, and that, you know, people are almost zombies to it at times. So seeing this episode of Doctor Who, which is in 1985, predating all of that, is interesting, and that I find that intriguing. And the whole voting on things like that, I enjoy that. Syl is phenomenal. He is easily one of the best villains to come out of 80s Who. I like him because he's not inherently evil like, say, the Daleks or the Cybermen. He's just greedy. He likes money. He's a businessman. He's a corporate businessman. He really is kind of that 80s corporate American or British businessman. You know, they're slimy, creepy, disgusting little devils, metaphorically, so that's literally the way they designed him to be. He's slimy and slug looking, and he has that repulsive little laugh, which is a phenomenal little laugh. I gotta admit, Syl works because of so many levels. One, just the character itself is created and written well. Two, the costume is really well done. That's very impressive how they keep spraying him with the water to make him look all slick and ugh. And then the actor playing him, I can't pronounce his name, I know it's like Nabir, does a phenomenal job. His performance there, what he does with the voice work, the expressions on his face, and that laugh which he came up with, is phenomenal. It's all of these things working together just create this kind of perfect storm of a character. And as much as I don't like Mind Warp, it's probably my least favorite Colin Baker story, I do like Syl in Mind Warp, and I like that they brought Syl back in Mind Warp. I'm glad that we have more with that character because he's such a good character. I really like Colin in this story as well. I've complained before about my issues with Colin's theatrical acting, but Six in this one is toned down a little bit. He's not quite so over the top. I actually really like a lot of his acting here, with the exception of at the beginning. At the very beginning of part 1, when he just kind of gives up and, oh, we're stuck in the TARDIS, we'll be here for eternity, oh, it'll be easy for you, you'll grow old and die, but I'll just regenerate and be stuck here. And I'm sitting here going, Six, your 13 is showing that not in control, don't know what to do, almost defeatist attitude, which 13, to be fair, even though she is constantly on the back foot, she doesn't usually have a defeatist attitude. She just usually doesn't know what's going on around her. But Six kind of reminds me of that here because he's not as confident and in control of the situation as the Doctor should be. But other than that, once they get on Varos, he's great. His performance is great. The character is great. I enjoy that. Perry is less irksome in this one. I have discovered I hate when she says the word doctor. She sounds weird. But doctor, something about the way she says doctor irks me. I don't know why. Something about her American accent that usually honestly doesn't bother me most of the time. I've realized it's when she calls the doctor by doctor. Something, it just goes to me. My eyebrow twitches. I don't know why, but it bugs me. The guest cast I enjoy in this. The bald guy with the mustache is hamming it up a little bit. He's kind of a mustache twirling villain. Ha 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 ha. I'm here all night. He's a little hamming it up a little bit, but I like him. I'm there for it. The guy playing the governor does a great job. I think he's actually a pretty kind of famous British actor. But I like him. He does a really good job. That's another thing. I love their little style of government there with how the governor has to sit in that chair and let them vote. And if the vote doesn't go in his favor, he gets punished. I want to implement that here in the states immediately and put that with the president. I have a feeling we'll get more things to get passed in our favor doing it that way. Yes, I'm definitely all in on. And it's funny because I was watching the making of, and somebody was talking in one of the behind the scenes things that somebody they were talking to said the same thing. Yeah, we need to do that here. But yeah, the other actors I think are fine. I don't really have an issue with any of the actors that I can think of. Except for the girl, well, that's not the actor's fault. Like, I know Jason Connery is in this, Sean Connery's son, but his character and his wife's character, the character's wife, they don't really serve much purpose in this story. They're kind of just there. Like, at the end of the story, I'm like, where did they go? Were they there at the end? I don't remember what happened to them. They just kind of get lost in the shuffle. They seem not really there for a reason other, I guess, at the beginning to explain to the doctor kind of what's going on. I'm surprised they didn't get killed off. They struck me as the kind of characters that usually for no reason whatsoever just happen to get killed off to get them out of the way. And they weren't. And I'm not sure why, because they don't really serve much of a purpose to me. Jason Connery and his character and his character's wife. They're very, I mean, their acting is fine. But they don't really do anything. The story, though, just for some reason, I don't know why. I figured since I hadn't seen it in a while, I'd be really excited to go back to it again, but I felt very underwhelmed. Maybe it's just watching so much Doctor Who. Maybe it's watching so much of Colin lately. But since this is supposed to be his best one of the season for a lot of people, it had always been my favorite Colin story. I was surprised that I just finished it underwhelmed and realized the things I liked were the other things I've already described and not necessarily the story itself. Although I did mention in my Part 1 review I loved the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger to Part 1, excellent. Especially the way they do the desert imagery with him seeing the desert, and even though you can still see the hallway kind of superimposed behind it. That's a pretty neat effect for 1985. You'd think you were watching a special edition with updated effects. That looked really good. And then that long shot of Colin on the ground looking like he's dead. That's some really good directing and really good acting on Colin's part. I enjoyed that cliffhanger a lot. So it's like there's a lot of parts of this story I really enjoyed. But for me, the parts were greater than the sum of the whole, or the sum of the parts was better than the whole. Just for some reason, I was underwhelmed at the end of it, and I had a lot of trouble planning this review. And even now, I'm just kind of like about it. I'm like, I could do this review tomorrow. I'm like, nope, I want to get it knocked out tonight. So yeah, Vengeance on Varos. A lot of good things going on in it, but ultimately the story itself and the whole underwhelmed me for a story I'd seen before and liked a lot. I still enjoyed it, but I don't think I'm going to go back and watch it again anytime soon. I actually enjoyed my watch through of Time Lash more, which was the first time I watched Time Lash, and it was with the updated effects, so maybe that has something to do with it. So I guess disappointing. Underwhelming and disappointing was how I would put it. So, Vengeance on Varos. Have you watched it lately? What do you think of it? So comment down below and let me know what you like about it and what you don't. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon. If you would like to support me on that, there's a link to that down in the description below. Everyone that joins at any tier level gets a free video request if there's anything you'd like me to talk about. I want to give a special shout out to two of my top tier patrons, the Fifth Doctor and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their continued support, just as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me down there as well. And there is also a link to my Amazon wish list, which I update regularly if you want to take a minute and check that out. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.